I decided that I wanted to try to use strobes for the first time. And not only did I want to try using strobes, but I wanted to do it on a film camera setup. Now, in order to pull this all off, I had my good friend Jay, who is a very talented photographer here based in Dallas, Texas. I had him teach me his entire workflow when it comes to shooting strobes on film. When it comes to learning, I'm someone that really enjoys just kind of immersing myself in the process of somebody else, really, to kind of get an idea of how I can make that my own. So I pretty much just humbly followed everything that he gave me, from pre-production to being on set. And when it comes to gear, Jay was able to bring in some Westcott branded strobes. And he also brought his Mamiya RZ67, which would be the camera of choice. Now, a very important part of Jay's workflow is testing the lighting on digital first, and then moving the flash over to the Mamiya and taking the actual picture then. And this was something that I really grew to appreciate in the process of watching and observing Jay, because when you do this, it really helps you dial in the specific settings that you need on digital, bring those over to film, and take a picture that you know is going to be properly exposed when all the settings are put in place. So it's always good to be intentional, take the time to test, and then when you're ready, get into the film photos. To start off the shoot, we had the model on a deep red backdrop. And honestly, I was just very intrigued to watch Jay shoot, just to get an idea of his process. And like I said at the beginning, I learn best when I'm able to kind of observe, emulate a little bit, and then be able to take what I've learned and make it my own. Now, when it was my turn to step in and shoot, I was admittedly a little nervous, just because I, again, had never been in a situation like this. Never shot strobes, never done on a film camera, but having my experience with the Mamiya RB67 really lended well to handling the RZ. So really all I had to think about was that the model was posed correctly.
3, 2, 1.
And as we wrapped up look 1, we wanted to make sure that we switched things up for look 2.
A dark gray, because we have that gray right there. Because we can light it to either look more white or we can light it to look more black. Right, Lise?
This is where I have no idea what's going on. I'm gonna let them decide.
So we ended up bringing in a blue backdrop, which went really well with the model's second outfit choice, which featured a lot of graphics on pretty much all black clothing. This time around, I again just observed Jay, just so I could see his process, learn a little bit more, but I was much more confident that when I was able to take my role, that I would get photos that I'd be happy with and ultimately just have fun doing it. So with the second look, I was very intentional, testing pretty much every frame on digital first. And I think the advantage of doing this was that I could put the model in a position that I wanted him to be in, take images on digital, and be able to refer back to those when I wanted to take the film photos, if that makes sense. That way, again, I'm not wasting anybody's time, and I can kind of move through the shoot at a good pace. And be confident with the images I'm getting because I've already seen them.
3, 2, 1.
At the very end, I was very happy with the experience overall. Jay did an amazing job, and the team also did an amazing job. I'll link all their Instagrams in the bio. And with that, one thing I do want to touch on is just embracing discomfort in the creative process. Because I know one thing that pretty much every photographer, filmmaker, artist can relate to is that sometimes you can just get stuck in these circles of just kind of doing the same thing, getting comfortable with it because you become decent at it. But after a certain amount of time, things just become uninspired. You become uninspired. And so the work you make is very difficult to resonate with. And I think one of the fastest ways to just reinvigorate creative inspiration is to try something new, to try something that makes you a bit uncomfortable, that makes you nervous when you're about to do it, because you're testing yourself, you're challenging yourself. And it's so interesting because that learning experience literally rewires your brain. And when that process is happening, when you're challenging yourself, when you're expanding your creative horizons, it just opens up the door to so many great things. I think back to 2018 when I was just shooting digital, and my friend Travis kind of introduced me to film photography, and I picked up my first film camera. Things changed so much for me after I did that. I would not have made this YouTube channel. My creative career would not be where it is right now if I had not just picked up a film camera and re-inspired myself from when I started taking photos. And at the end of the day, I can only thank God for putting people in my life that creatively challenge me, that inspire me to take risks, and ultimately allow me to be put in positions where opportunities are there where they would not have been there before. So along with learning about strobes and film photography, one thing that I want you to walk away from this video in is that you need to embrace discomfort. You need to challenge yourself. Anyways, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you learned a thing or two about strobes, film photography, and just about challenging yourself creatively. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate the support when you do. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Also, feel free to connect with me on Instagram at Thomas Bocage Photo and Thomas Bocage for my personal work. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. As always, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. I didn't have as many mistakes in this one as I usually do. That's nice.